Hi everyone, welcome to the third and final video of week 4. So we've gone through Wittgenstein's argument for the existence of objects, and we've talked a bit about what objects might or might not be. We've given some kind of characteristics that they've got to have: simplicity, necessary existence. But we've also said that Wittgenstein wasn't in a position to give examples of objects, and also that he didn't care to be in a position to give examples of objects. Let's now look at something else that Wittgenstein says about objects and try and understand what on earth he means. Wittgenstein says that objects are substance. We've already seen that. He also says that objects are form. And this is a curious remark. He says they are the form of the world. What on earth does Wittgenstein mean? Well, elsewhere in the book, Wittgenstein says the following: form is the possibility of structure, and a structure is a way in which objects are combined. So, something's form, or the form of something, is a possibility of structure, where structure is the actual way in which things are combined. So form is a so-called modal notion in the Tractatus. Form is to do with possibilities of combination, and structure is to do with actualities of combination. Form is the possibility of structure. And Wittgenstein says that the objects are the form of the world. And we might say that the form of the world is the possibility of the world's structure. What is the world's structure? The world's structure is, let's say, the actual facts which obtain, or the actual present ways in which objects are related to one another. The structure of the world consists in the actual present configurations of objects. The form of the world is the possibility of those configurations. It's the possibility that structure, that those structures or those structured items, those facts, could exist. So why are objects form? Why are objects the form of the world? Or why are objects the possibility of the world's exhibiting structure? Well, I think it's just because of this. Objects have a kind of potential to combine with one another. Let's call it their combinatorial potential. Let's say that's the form of an object. The form of an object is its possible combinations with other objects. So, if we've got two objects that are capable of combining with one another, and we swap one of those objects out and put another one in, and the two objects can't combine with one another anymore, then we know that the object we swapped out for the other has got a different form from the one we swapped it for. Objects are the form of the world because the possibility of structure, the possibility of facts, depends entirely upon the forms of the objects. So all of the possibilities of structure, the possibilities of, let's say, this fact existing, which is composed of these objects, the possibility of that fact depends entirely upon the possibilities of combination possessed by the objects. So all possibilities, all facts are traceable or reducible to possibilities of combination possessed by objects. So it's the objects and their combinatorial possibilities which serve to explain why certain facts are capable of existing. So Anscombe, Elizabeth Anscombe, puts it like this. She says, the original seat of form is the objects themselves. So the form of a fact is the possibility of its structure, and that possibility is entirely reducible to the possibilities of combination exhibited by the constituent objects of the fact. So we have facts, which are combinations of objects, and the possibility of those facts is reducible to the possibility of combination possessed by the object, or the object's forms. So the objects are the form of the world. The form of the world is the possibility of all of the structures that it has. Now, an important thing to say here, we're getting quite abstract, but you just have to bear with. We have the actual world, which is, let's say, the present set of configured objects. So the actual world as it is involves various facts. We also can think about other possible worlds where the facts that exist in this world don't and other facts exist. And we can think of any number of possible worlds. This is a kind of familiar notion in philosophy. There's lots of possible ways in which the world can be. And what these worlds have in common is a form. Because no matter how the world actually is, it always could have been a certain way. And any other way the world could have been shares a form with this world. That's what Wittgenstein's saying. This is getting quite abstract, but let's think about it. The world has a form, which means it has a kind of possibility of structure. Any other possible world has the same form, because the same possibilities of structure are common to any other possible world as this world. Now, Wittgenstein says the objects are the form of the world because no matter how the world is, how it actually is, what the actual configuration of objects is, the same possibilities of configured objects is present, is a sort of live option. So objects are the form of the world because no matter how the world is, the same objects exist within it, because objects are necessary existence. The objects underpin all possibilities of configuration. They are common to every possible world, and consequently they may be identified with the form of the world, because the form of the world is a matter of possible configurations, and all possible configurations are reducible to the forms of objects. What's the point of all this? Well, you'll notice in the very first sentence of the Tractatus, Wittgenstein says the world is all that is the case. And this is quite a famous remark. I think it's famous because as far as opening remarks go in philosophical texts, it's one of the most baffling, because it looks either completely trivial, to the point where you would say, why are you saying that, Wittgenstein? Or he's using technical terms which he hasn't informed us of. So it's a baffling opening remark. The world is all that is the case. What does Wittgenstein mean here? He means that the world, the present world, can't just be identified with the inventory of objects which exist within it. Because the inventory of objects is common to all possible worlds, because they exist necessarily, and they constitute the form of all possible worlds. So Wittgenstein's point in that first remark is that it's not sufficient to determine the present actual world to just give an inventory of the things which exist in it. You have to also give the arrangement of the things in it. That's what determines the world. So the world is all that is the case. The world, where something's being the case, consists in a configuration of objects. So the world isn't a kind of catalogue of things. It's a set of structures, of configurations of things. And this marked a bit of a change from some previous philosophers who had always put more weight on giving a catalogue of things in determining the world or in giving a metaphysical description of the world. Wittgenstein is saying that's not enough, because the things that exist in it exist in all possible worlds, because the things are the form of the world. Objects constitute possibilities on their own. They don't constitute actualities. So it's not sufficient just to give the objects to determine the world. You have to give their configuration as well. And that's an explanation of Remark 1. And that's the end of the final video. Look forward to discussing it all with you, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of questions in the in-person sessions. Cheers.